Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Dan from DHTV, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use your iPhone 13 Pro, 13 mini, or iPhone 13 with this beginner's guide to the iPhone. Now, as always, if you're looking to learn more, there's a full playlist of iPhone tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you get the most out of your iPhone. Let's get started. Alright, now we're going to go through the iPhone 13 essentials, but a lot of these will work with pretty much any iPhone you have as long as it's running a later version of iOS. We're currently on iOS 15, so it'll look mostly the same if your iPhone is running the same software. So for starters, our iPhone is set up here. If you haven't set up your iPhone, there's a link in the description. It'll walk you through the setup process. But basically, when you are set up and you are on your home screen, this is how it'll look. First off, if you don't have your iPhone turned on, you're going to need to press and hold on that side button to turn your iPhone on, and it'll bring you to this screen here where then you'll swipe up. It'll either prompt you to enter in a passcode if you set that up during setup, or you can then just bring it close to your face and access Face ID. We'll talk about that in just a bit, but we're going to enter our passcode and bring us to our front page, and this is called our home screen. Now from your home screen, you can see I have a few different things going on here. We've got applications, which are these small little icons, and we've got larger ones here, which are called widgets. And you can tap on any of these to access them. You can also swipe between your home screen pages and then also go to your app library all the way at the end. If you swipe all the way to the left here, it'll bring up your widget library here where you can access all the different widgets that you add. So what we're going to do first is organize all of our applications and our widgets so that our home screen is customized the way we need it. So to start, if you ever want to delete an application, all you're going to do is just press and hold on the application and you'll see an option appear. Some applications cannot be removed, but you will get options, and when you do see remove app, you can tap on it to remove it. So just go through some of the applications, and any of the ones you don't want on your home screen, you can just tap, hold, and then tap remove, tap delete app, or just remove it from your home screen. If you choose to remove it from your home screen, it'll still be available to you in your app library, which again I showed you is all the way on the right side. We're going to delete this app so you can see it'll prompt you to delete it again. We'll tap delete, and now the application is gone. Additionally, you want to group your applications into folders to keep things a little bit more organized. You're just going to tap and hold on the application. When it starts shaking, you can then move it over to another application and it'll then group it into that folder. And you can group many applications into the folder, as many as you'd like. You can even take applications from another page and then just drag it right to the edge. Give it a second, it moves over, and then just drag it right into that folder as well. It can be a little bit tedious, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly. When you tap on the folder while it's still shaking, you'll be able to see the option at the top. You can actually tap here and name it anything you want. We'll just call it test, and then tap done. And then when you're done, you can tap away and then just swipe up on the screen to close it, or tap done. Additionally, while you saw that shaking, so again, pressing, holding, and waiting, you'll see a minus beside some of the applications. This is a way for you to delete multiple applications at the same time. So if we tap on that, we can delete that one. We can then delete this one as well. So you don't have to tap, hold, and remove. You can just start deleting the ones you don't want. Deleting widgets is the same. You just tap on the widget, tap remove, and the widget is gone. Now, if you want to add widgets to your home screen, I suggest you do so. Tap and hold on the home screen here. It's going to start shaking once again. You can tap on the plus at the top here, and it's going to bring up our widget library here, where you have all the widgets that are available to you based on the applications you have installed on your phone. And we'll get into installing applications in just a bit. So you can scroll through this and see what widgets are available to you. And you can basically just tap and select them. We're going to go through just a couple here. First off, one of the good ones is the battery. We already have it on our home screen, but I'm going to tap it again to show you. Battery is going to allow you to see the battery percentage of your current iPhone, but also your other iOS devices. So if you have AirPods, AirPods Pro, or anything like that, you'll be able to see the battery percentage of them as well as the case. So it's a good thing to have available to you. And you can see I can swipe between the widgets to see the different options that they offer. So you can have a small widget, a larger widget, or a very large widget, which will give you the most detailed description of the item's battery percentage. To add the widget, you just tap Add Widget. It'll add it to your home screen. Now you can see I added one that was quite big, so it removed the apps from the main screen. They're still there, they're just moved over to the next page. I can also move these widgets around like this. In the same fashion, I can move my applications around to organize them if I'd like as well. So if I want to move this one over to say the top here, I can. It'll just kind of move things around, and now I've organized it that way. To keep things simple, I'm going to remove that widget, but if you want to keep it, just swipe up and it'll stay on the page for you. Now that you have your applications set up here, if you want to download applications, you're going to need to open the App Store. And to download applications in the App Store, you do need to have an Apple ID set up. So for this example, I don't have this set up. If you get prompted for any of these things, you can read through this and turn off personalized ads or have them turned on. It's your choice. But if you haven't set up your Apple ID when you first set up your iPhone, you're going to need to have that in order to download apps. So for this example, I don't have my Apple ID set up. I'll show you what'll happen. If you open the app section at the bottom here, you'll be able to see a whole bunch of different things. iPhone Essentials, top free apps, different things like that. Or you can just search for apps if you're looking for something specific. Instagram, Facebook, whatever. We'll just type in Instagram. We tap on that. And you can see we get Instagram here. The top one is usually an ad, but we'll tap Get. And as soon as I do that, it's going to say I need to sign in to complete my purchase. So if you don't have an Apple ID, you're going to want to then go back to your home screen and you're going to want to find your settings application here. And you're going to tap at the top, sign into your iPhone. When you tap there, you can click on Don't Have an Apple ID or Forgot It. And then you're going to tap Create an Apple ID. Now, once you have your Apple ID set up, I just switched phones so you can see how the installation process works for applications. You're going to, once again, just search for the app you want or just go through the list here of apps that you want to download. We have Snapchat, we have Twitch. If you ever see a cloud, that means you've downloaded it in the past and you have it removed from your iPhone and you can re-download it. That'll happen over time. If you see update, that means the app you currently have will need to be updated. And if you ever see get, that means you don't have the application and you can then download it. So for this example, let's download Night Sky. Make sure you see how much it costs. You can see some of them are paid, $6.99. And when you do connect your Apple ID, you'll have to put in a credit card. They won't charge you unless you make purchases. So this one here, Night Sky, I tap Get. It also has in-app purchases. You can tap on the application to get a more detailed description of what this app is all about. You could even read some of the reviews towards the bottom. When you're ready, you can tap Get. And what's going to happen is you're going to double click the side button and then bring it closer to your face to access Face ID if you have that set up, or you'll have to put in your Apple ID password to confirm the purchase. It all depends on how you've set things up. Now you just wait for this to complete, and once it does, you'll have the application on your home screen. Well, that continues to download here. We're going to work on our other iPhone and continue going through some other features. So first, let's go through some buttons that you have on your iPhone. One of the most common questions I get is that the iPhone is not making any sounds, and that's due to this little button right here. This is actually your mute or vibrate switch, depending on your setting. If you see this orange option here, or orange sort of color there, that means you've silenced your iPhone. So that's why you're not hearing sounds most of the time. If you click it off or click the silent button off, you're now back to having sound on your iPhone. And in the same sense, you have your volume rockers here. So while your phone is unlocked, you can press on the volume rocker up to raise the volume, and you can see a little volume icon appear there, and you can use the bottom or down volume rocker to lower the volume, and that's going to lower the volume of the applications you're using as well as the ringer tone when it rings. Now on the right side, you do have a side button, and this is going to lock your phone if you just press it once, and then to unlock your phone, you just tap or press that lock button again. It'll bring up your screen, and then you can just swipe up, enter your passcode, or put your face close to this top up here, and it'll open it up using Face ID if you've had that set up. And you can also long press on the side button, and if you do that, it'll bring up this option. Now, if you've set up Siri already, Siri will pop up at the bottom and you can ask Siri various questions. Now, Siri is your personal assistant with your iPhone. You can ask Siri to open applications, give you answers, set timers, ask it to add things together, ask it scores, ask it the weather, all kinds of things you can do with Siri. There's a tutorial on how to use Siri in the description. So if you want to learn how to use that, you can check that out as well. We're going to leave Siri off because it's a little bit more advanced, but like I said, you can learn about it later. Additionally, if you press the side button and the volume buttons, either one, together at the same time, it's going to bring up this option, which will allow you to power off your iPhone. And if you slide to power it off, your iPhone's going to turn off. So if you ever need to turn it off, whether you're in church or in a movie or anything like that, that's how you turn it off. You can then again press and hold on that side button to turn the phone on. You got to give it a second here and you'll see the Apple logo will appear, and then you just give it a few seconds to power itself back on. Now, once it's back on, you'll have to swipe up, and keep in mind, anytime you power down your iPhone, Face ID will not work. You'll have to enter in your phone's passcode, so don't forget that passcode as it's very important. And you can see I'm getting prompts here as the video is going through that I have a low battery. This is good that this happened. I can show you that you can set your phone to low power mode or close it. So if I set it to low power mode, you can see what it says on screen: mail, fetch, background app refresh, automatic downloads, and some visual effects are reduced to disable in low power mode. So you're not going to get the best of the best features and performance out of your phone, but it's going to try to preserve your battery so you can get through what you need to until you can connect it up to a charger. You can cancel it here or continue. And we'll go through a couple of battery percentage options a little bit later, and you can see my battery icon also changed to a yellow color, letting me know I am in that low power mode. And you can see right up here in the top right, it's also showing my battery icon in that yellow, meaning low power mode. All right, now before we get into the settings, let's go through quick settings. And you can access those quick settings just by pulling down from the top right. And this is called Control Center. And this is an area where you can control various things like your Wi-Fi connection, Bluetooth. You can set focus, your brightness of your screen, which is pretty important, your volume, and then you have little quick applications to access there as well. So let's go through the first one here. So you can turn off your Wi-Fi just by tapping. It'll disconnect your Wi-Fi until tomorrow. You can say okay. You can turn off your Bluetooth as well, and you can tap them to turn them back on just like that. You also have this little airplane, which is your airplane mode. If you click on that or tap on it, it's going to turn orange. It'll disable your Wi-Fi, and this is good, obviously, for an airplane, or whenever you don't want to have your services on, so your cellular or your Wi-Fi on. So this phone right now doesn't have cellular turned on, so I'll bring up my other phone just for this example. You can see I have the cellular network available right there. If I turn the airplane mode on, it turns them all off. So just keep that in mind as well. Now, if you press and hold on any of the options, you may get extra options here. And for this situation, we do have extras. We're not going to go over some of the more advanced, but you will see that you have some extra options here. There's AirDrop. If you want to learn about AirDrop, check my channel. There's a video on that as well. The next option is now playing or not playing. Anytime you have something playing, maybe YouTube, an Instagram video or something, or even music, it'll be here. And you can press play, pause, skip, and do various things like transfer the volume over to another device. A little bit more advanced again, but you can make those controls, and they're available to you quickly in the Control Center. This option here locks the orientation. So when you're in different applications, sometimes you have to hold the phone like this, and sometimes you'll have to hold the phone like this and it'll flip. To show you an example, I'll open up Safari and it's taking me to the Apple website. This is the portrait mode. If I turn my phone landscape mode, it flips. Now I'm in a landscape mode, giving me a wider ability to see my page. Some applications allow this, some don't, but if you find that it flips a little bit too often for your liking, you open Control Center, you lock that orientation, and now when you're in there and you flip it, it won't flip. So if you do hold your phone and it's kind of flipping because you move around, turn that option off and lock that orientation. Now I'm not going to go through many more of these ones, focus and this one right here. They're just more advanced, but there is the brightness. You can control that just by going up and down. You can also press and hold on that and it gives you dark mode. And dark mode just basically gives you a dark effect to your iPhone. If we turn the dark mode off, you'll see it goes back to its more lighter screen. So the best way I can show you that is if we open settings in dark mode, you can see it's all dark. If we then turn dark mode off and we go back to our settings, you can see it's light. So you choose what's best for you, or you can set dark mode in the settings to turn on and off based on the time. So if you want it to be in the morning, it's always light, and in the evening and night, it's always dark, you can turn that on as well. Night shift, I have a video on that as well on the channel. It's just going to take away the blue. It's better for your eyes at night. So if you use your phone at night, turn that on. It kind of gives it like an orangey tone to it. You can schedule the settings or turn it on till 7 a.m. Turn it off. And true tone, this is good to have on. It's going to give you the best effect when you are looking at your phone. So I always have true tone on. But again, more advanced, and we will talk about that in other videos. So we have our applications here. Our camera, we can always open up our camera app and it opens up to my front camera. So you can see me here. You have then your calculator. You have your clock or timer here. So you can set timers, stopwatch, alarms, world clock. And then finally you have a flashlight. And this is an important one. Power goes out, you need some extra light. You just tap to turn it on, turns on the flashlight, and you can tap to turn it off. So that's the quick control center, and those are the options you can use within it. Now let's get into the settings. So for this, we're gonna go to our settings application, and there's two ways to do this. Whenever you're trying to find an application, you can search for it here. You can search the app library, you can tap at the top and search for it, and it's right there. Or anytime when you're on any of your home screens, you can then just swipe down from the middle. It opens up a quick search, and you can just search for things there. So settings, it'll pull up all the different things that it can find based on what you're searching for. So your apps, your Safari searches, settings, all these things will come up. Siri knowledge, Siri suggested websites, all that stuff will come up if you use this type of search. But we have settings, and we're gonna open it up right here. Now, I'm gonna turn this battery mode off. So we're gonna scroll down quickly here, and we're gonna go to the battery section. And this is where you're going to see everything to do with your battery. So the battery health, the low power mode, as well as what you're using or what's using most of your battery. So it's good to keep an eye on this if you're noticing your battery draining pretty fast throughout the day. I'm going to turn low power mode off right now. Just for this example, I don't want the screen to dim. But this is where we have all of the settings that can control our iPhone and that we can configure to make it as customized as we want. We have our Wi-Fi, which during setup, you should have set it up. If you didn't, you can tap in the Wi-Fi section here, and it'll pull up all the Wi-Fi connections that are in your area. You'll tap on the one that is yours, and then you'll have to enter in the passcode for your connection, and you should be connected. Let's go to sounds and haptics. So we can set up what's going to happen when our phone rings or when we get text message and notifications. First off, at the top, we have vibrate on ring, vibrate on silent. So if you have vibrate on ring, anytime your phone rings, it's going to vibrate as well. If you don't want it to vibrate when it rings, you turn that off. The vibrate on silent means that when you silence your phone on the side here like this, it's going to be silent, meaning you're not going to hear the ringtone, but it will vibrate in your pocket or wherever it is. I personally like to have that on. That way you still have some sort of knowledge that a notification is coming through. But if you don't want that on, you can just tap and turn off the setting. And that's how all of these switches will work. Green means on. If it's off, you won't see the green. The next option we'll look at is ringer and alerts. So again, you can control the loudness of the ringtone, and it'll give you a quick run of the ringtone that you currently have, and that's going to be the sound and how loud it is. You can also change your ringtones down here and change all of your notification tones for these specific applications here. So our ringtone, if we tap on it, we can access all the ringtones we have on file here. So for us here, let's just say we wanted to change it to this one. It'll play a quick run of that specific tone. If you like it, you can then just tap back, and now that ringtone is set, and it works the same way for all of these different tones. Moving down, when you have the keyboard open for whatever you're typing, so for example, if we were searching for something here and our phone's not on silent, if we start typing, there's a click. We hear a click sound. If you don't want that click to be there, what you're going to do is turn the keyboard click sound off. In the same fashion, when you do lock your screen by pressing the side button, you hear that little lock sound. If you want that lock sound off, you can then just tap there. It'll turn the lock sound off as well. System haptics is the vibration you feel in your hand as you use the phone for different things, and you'll feel them as you use the phone. If you find that to be a little bit annoying, you can turn those haptics off. You won't have any type of haptic vibration feedback when you're doing things on your iPhone. Personally, my settings are usually like this. I leave them all on. I have the vibrate on silent, and keep in mind if you do use vibrate on ring or even vibrate on silent, vibrate uses more battery than just the ringtone. The next important one is display and brightness. Now, like I showed you earlier in Control Center, you can control the brightness there simply. You can do that here as well, but you can also control your light and dark mode, as I showed you earlier as well. Now, you can set this to automatic, so when you do that, it's going to give you the option to be light mode until sunrise and then turn to dark mode as it sunsets. You can also set a custom schedule so that you can have it light specific times of day and dark specific times of day. Personally, I just switch depending on how I feel. And right now, let's just continue this in light mode. The true tone, once again, I showed you that in the quick settings in the Control Center, which is going to give you a brief description right here of what it does. Night shift as well. Auto lock. This is something that I always set to never. This is your choice, but if you find that you leave your phone down and the screen open, you're going to drain the battery if you have it on never. So what you could do is tap here and it's going to automatically lock the screen within an allotted time period. So if I set it to 30 seconds, and you probably saw what happened when I had it on low power mode, the screen was dimming by itself. But basically within that 30-second time frame, it's going to lock the phone here. You can set it to whatever you want. I leave it on never because I traditionally lock my phone myself. The rest of these you can go through yourself, but we'll go a few steps down here to wallpaper. This is where you can customize the wallpaper, so what you see as your background on your home screen. So by default, it's set like this on the iPhone 13 mini, 13s, 13 Pros, very similar. And what we can do is tap choose new wallpaper, and it'll go through and give you all these little dynamic stills live, as well as any of your photos that you have in the Photos app. Now, I've already done a video in the past where I created a tutorial on the camera, so I have some photos here. If I choose that, I can set this photo as my screen wallpaper, and you can see it gives you a quick description or an example of how it'll look with the lock screen, with the time, the date. You can set it. You can also scale it down here. You can kind of zoom in and out if you need to, if it's bigger or smaller. Totally up to you, and then you can tap set to set it. I'm going to cancel this one for now, and we'll go through a couple of these ones. So stills, these are all the ones that are offered by Apple, and then lives. And we're going to choose a live one because I'm going to show you something cool with the iPhone that it'll allow you to do. So we're going to set this one. Live photo is on, and you can see that there. If we want this live option off, we would tap there to turn the live off, but we want it on. And we're going to tap set. We can choose to set it for just the lock screen, just the home screen, or both. We'll set it for both right now. Now it's set, and if we go to our home screen, you can see we have that new wallpaper that we chose. Now, because that was a live wallpaper, when we lock our phone here, if we tap to quickly unlock it, we can tap with our finger and hold. You'll see that live effect take place. And this is a cool feature, and if you take photos with live on in your photo, which you'll learn in that camera tutorial, it'll actually create that live effect as well, so you can see things happening. So if you have a photo of your child on the home screen, you can actually see them laughing or whatever was happening in that photo. So I strongly recommend you watch that camera tutorial. It's so useful, and it'll help you really get the most out of your iPhone. So that's a live effect on your lock screen. So we're going to go back to our settings. I'm just going to search for it quick, and we're back in our settings. But that's basically how you would set up wallpapers and things like that. Now let's scroll down to Face ID and passcode, and we'll give that a quick tap. Now, if you've already set up a passcode, it's going to prompt you to enter that in. So we're just going to enter it in. And now we'll have access to all of our Face ID and passcode abilities here. Now, if you did set up Face ID in your setup process, which I show you in that video, then you don't have to worry about this Face ID section. You can skip ahead a little bit. But we're going to set up Face ID here so you can see how it works. And you can choose what Face ID is going to be used for. I'll talk about that in a second. But setting up Face ID is extremely simple and extremely useful. Basically, it's going to mean you hold your camera towards your face and it'll unlock your phone or allow you to pay for things with your phone. So let's go tap Set Up Face ID. It's going to open a page like this. And you're basically going to turn your head and try to get it in focus here so that it can then create a facial recognition to unlock your phone. So we'll tap get started and we'll bring our face up to the screen. When you see the circle, you want to kind of turn your head and get all those green sections. And you can see I'm talking, I have a hat on, and it's still able to scan that. So it's pretty useful. Tap continue again, and we'll do the same thing, kind of just moving it around. It's trying to get all the details around. And now it's complete. Now we tap done, and now by default, it's going to set all of the use Face ID unlock features to unlock our phone, use it for iTunes in the App Store, Wallet and Apple Pay, and password autofill. Some of these are more advanced. We're not going to talk about them here, but you can choose what the Face ID is going to have access for. To give you an example, phone is locked. We unlock the phone. If we swipe up, it's now going to tell us Face ID. So I'm going to bring the phone towards my face. It's automatically unlocking using the facial recognition. If it's brought up to someone else's face, it will not unlock it. It'll prompt them to enter in the passcode. So it's that much quicker and a little bit easier on us if we're trying to unlock our phone and do various things. Now you can also set up an alternate appearance. So if you have a spouse or someone else who uses the phone with you, they can unlock the phone again with Face ID. And you can then have these options set up here. Require attention for Face ID. You can read what that does. Attention, turn the passcode off, which completely will turn Face ID and passcode off on your phone. I don't recommend using that. And then just go through the rest of these. But like I said, some of them are more advanced and we're not going to cover them right now. And something that you've probably seen me do a few times is access applications by just swiping up a little bit. You swipe up for a second, you can see how the screen kind of changes. If I swipe to the right a little bit, it brings up all the open applications that I have, and I can just swipe through them and sort of go back and forth to access them. This is your app switcher or quick access to your open apps. That's how that works. You also notice that sometimes as I'm using the iPhone, I swipe up to exit. If you're used to the phones that had a home button, this one here is all about swipes. So you're going to swipe up to close applications, whatever you're in. Just to go back to the home screen is a swipe up. If you ever want to see notifications, they usually pop up at the top here. But if you missed it or you want to see the ones that you haven't really responded to, you can swipe down from the top. It brings up your notification center and you can access those as well. You can swipe left to clear them. You can tap on them to open them. It's all up to you what you want to do with it. Moving back into the settings here, we're going to go back to the main page. Privacy, another very important section. Make sure that different applications aren't tracking you if you don't want them to. So the top, you have location services. You can turn these services on, and then as you use your phone and download various apps, they may want to access your location. And this is the section where you would go to see what applications are accessing your location. Whenever you see this little triangle appear at the top, you can see a hollow arrow indicates that an item may receive your location under certain conditions. A purple arrow at the top will indicate that an item has recently used your location, and a gray arrow indicates that an item has used your location in the last 24 hours. So you'll see all the apps here as you go through, and you can then tap on those apps, like for example, Maps, and it'll give you options to choose how it uses your location. Never ask while using the app or while using the app or widgets. Precise location or just giving it a general location, you can choose that. Some apps give you more customization than others, but this is Maps from Apple, so they give you pretty good customization there. So you want to set up those location services, tracking as well. This is basically allowing apps to request to track. So every time you open a new application, it may ask you to request to track things for advertisements and things like that. You can choose to turn this off, so it's never going to ask you and they never have permission to track your activity. Or you can turn it on and give specific apps, they'll prompt when you open them and you can say yes or no. Now below that we have our applications and what they have access to. So if we open up health, you can see that no apps requested permission to use the health application or health related tools within them. But you want to go through these to see what apps are using your contact information, calendar information, have access to your photos, your camera, things like that, because it's pretty important. So you know what's being used, what information is being sent out to other people. So this is why privacy is so important. And there is more to it here, but again, more advanced, and you'll have to play around with it. But these are the main things you want to kind of go through from time to time to ensure that your privacy is protected. The next option we'll look at is the App Store, and this is basically how the App Store is going to work. Now, as you download applications, things are going to happen. So we're going to move to our other phone once again here. You can see that some of my applications, they do need to be updated. You can customize this in that section here, so you can choose how it's going to work. Automatically download the updates are turned on, or you can turn that off. You want to make sure that you're not burning through your data as well. So cellular data, automatic downloads is off here, or ask if over 200 megabytes. This is kind of important if you know how your data works. If you have a low data plan, just keep this off. If you have an unlimited, you could choose to turn that on if you want. Also here, video autoplay. If you have the video autoplay, as some applications will give you a video preview, it's going to automatically play that video. Again, that's using your data. So if you don't have a very good data plan, it's good to turn this feature off or just set it to Wi-Fi only. In-app ratings and reviews, so you can help developers and other users know what you think by letting apps ask you for product feedback. You can leave this on, it'll prompt you if you want to add feedback, but you don't have to. You could just say no or not now, but sometimes you might want to give someone some good feedback. For example, this video right here. If you like it, click the like button. If you don't, click the dislike button. And it's basically going to help the person making this app, or in my case, the video, know if what I'm doing or they're doing is actually helpful. So I usually leave that on, and I just respond to different apps here and there, giving them a few stars or 5 stars, depending on how good the app is. Now, an important option is emergency SOS. When you tap on this, it's going to give you an option to access an emergency SOS. If something ever happens, knock on wood. Let's say you needed emergency services. Right now, by default, SOS is set up so when you press and hold on the side button and one of the volume rockers, it's going to give you the option to power it down, but also SOS emergency here. So if we swipe that, it's going to start calling the emergency services. So that way, if you're on the ground or you've fallen or anything and you can't really access your phone to type buttons or whatever, you can just always press that and it'll give you access to it. So if you do want to change the SOS feature here, you can swipe this on, and now it's going to mean that you press on the side button 5 times and then it'll bring up the SOS call, but you'll still have access to the same SOS if you press and hold the side button and the volume rocker as well. Auto call, you can turn that on as well, and you can also set up emergency contacts in the health application. So that's going to take us to the next section here, and that's going to be health, because it ties into that and it's very important. Now, if you didn't set that up before, what you can do here is tap on this section here, and you can always tap health details, and you can add in all of that stuff, wheelchair, medications that affect heart rate, all this stuff that you can add in here. Your medical ID, if you tap get started, you can go through all the different features here. Emergency contacts, show when locked is important because then they can access it, share during an emergency call, all this stuff that now you can use within this phone to help if there's ever an emergency, and also with different applications. So I am not going to go through everything here because there just is so much, but I would really recommend that you go through this health application and sort of work your way around some of these features. You can see your steps that you've walked and things like that. It's pretty easy to set up as well. You just want to make sure that you're choosing what information you want to share and how it's going to be shared within it. So you can set that up if you'd like as well. But now let's go through another application that's very useful and that's used a lot, and that's the camera app. And there's the prompt. So it wants to have access to my location whenever I open the camera app. I don't want it on, so I'm going to say don't allow. If you want it on, then when you do take pictures, you'll be able to see the locations later on in your Photos app where it was taken. I'm just going to say don't allow. And this is my camera app. Right now we're looking at the front-facing camera. It's looking up at the camera that you guys are looking at. Now, I did a full tutorial on this camera, so I strongly recommend you watch that. There's a video link for that in the description, but you can access the camera here, and I'm just going to show you basics. So taking photos is just tapping that. Okay, you can tap to focus. You have your preview here, which opens up a preview of the photo you took. When you tap on it, you'll be able to see editing features. You can tap to see all your photos. You can see when it was taken up top. If you tap edit, you have some editing options here. And I go through that in a photo editing tutorial as well. So it's important, just kind of work your way through these videos. They're so useful for you. Or you can delete it right here if it's no good and you don't want to keep it. But to get through all of the options, you just swipe left and you can see we have panoramic, portrait, photo, video, and video is the same. You just tap the video here and it'll start taking a video. Tap to stop it and you get your preview. You have cinematic modes. This is a really cool mode. You can see it right there. It's focused in on this particular item and the rest is blurred out. You have slow motion and then you have time lapse. So this is the camera app, probably one of the most used applications with the iPhone and one of the most updated things that Apple does. So it's really important that you get the most out of this, especially because photos are our memories and you want to make sure you take great photos. Now I'm going to end the video here. It's just getting extremely long and there is so much to cover here. But if you do want more information and more tips, tricks, and tutorials, the link in the description is going to go through everything that you can do with these iPhones and some features you probably never even knew existed and will help you so much with productivity and just general use on your day-to-day. These phones cost so much money. It's beneficial for you to get the most out of them and learn exactly how they work. So we'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments that the video helped you or what your suggestions are for me to continue this series, to make a part 2, or if there are things you want more specific instruction on. Your feedback is really important. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell notification box so that way on your phone when I post a new tutorial or tip video, it'll pop up on your phone. You can tap it and you can start learning right when the video is released. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.